and the table will be wide, and the welcome will be wide, and the arms will open wide to gather us in. And our hearts will open wide to receive. And we will come as children who trust there is enough. And we will come unhindered and free. And our aching will be met with bread. And our sorrow will be met with the cup. And we will open our hands to the feast without shame. And we will turn toward each other without fear. And we will give up our appetite for despair. And we will taste and know of delight. And we will become bread for a hungering world. And we will become drink for those who thirst. And the blessed will become a blessing. And everywhere will be the feast. This comes with a huge caveat of, we have a toddler, but David and I love to entertain people. After we got married 10 years ago this year, we searched for apartments to rent where there was enough space that we could have lots of friends and family over to do two very important things. One was play board games, and two was to share a meal with each other. When David and I sat down to talk about the space we were after and why, we both recognized that it was because over a good board game and a meal, or both, usually both, relationships are changed, deepened. Our favourite thing to do, when we have the time, is invite friends from all walks of life over to have a meal together, or to have an afternoon of playing board games and eating snacks. And over the course of our time spent together, I see a bunch of acquaintances who are new to each other share and eat and tell stories and laugh and leave as friends, making plans for the next time, swapping contact details. There's something about sharing a meal that allows for others to be seen in ways that they haven't before. And to provide space, to facilitate and see that is a great gift to David and I. At our very best, we practice a ministry of hospitality. In the story of Emmaus, we hear the story of two disciples talking and discussing what we can assume is the life, crucifixion, and resurrection of the prophet and teacher Jesus, when Jesus himself joins them and asks them what they're talking about. So they launch into the story again. Story about the guy that they're walking with. And when they reach Emmaus, there's a turning point. You see, in the story, Jesus was going to go on ahead. But the couple ask him to stay, still not knowing who Jesus was. So he goes in with them, and when Jesus is at the table, he blesses the bread, he breaks it, and he shares it with them, echoing the Last Supper. And it was only then, it was only at that point that those who were walking to Emmaus realize that in fact it's Jesus. Jesus was only seen when they shared a moment of hospitality. They began to know Jesus in a new way through the breaking of bread. And they began to know, not just by seeing him on the road, although they may have had an inkling when he was speaking. But I think one of the most important parts of this story is that it was only when this couple began to practice the very things that they had learnt from Jesus, becoming hosts, inviting the stranger, sharing what they had, breaking bread, eating together, that their teacher was revealed before them. It is only when the couple put into practice the things that Jesus had taught them that they realized that Jesus was amongst them. How many times, I wonder, through sacred moments of your meals, where you have opened your house in hospitality, invited someone over, given someone a cup of tea, sat down with someone, that you've realized that Jesus is also in your midst. I wonder if you have it all. In the practices of love in community, so in hospitality, in generosity, in breaking bread, they realized that there was God infleshed. And in practices of love in community, hospitality and generosity and breaking of bread, we need to recognize that God is there infleshed. How do we perceive the sacred among us? We can tell the stories, absolutely. But do we recognize Jesus when he is walking with us? Do we create radical moments of hospitality that emulate our teacher, only to then see the teacher in our midst? Jesus is seen in a new way, in a shared moment of hospitality, because there is something in the sharing of a meal that allows for other to be seen in ways they haven't before. And we're invited into this mystery and asked time and time again to sit down at the radical table and share and see and be. And yet life gets so busy we forget to do it. Easter wasn't a moment but an adventure that has begun. And part of the joy and part of the blessing of being a follower of the way means that this adventure is sharing meals with people. How fabulous. It's one of the easiest and hardest things to do. Busy calendars, our house not looking perfect. Kids, tricky bedtimes and things to do. But we're invited to be a part of it. We're a part of this adventure, of the sharing of meal, of the breaking of bread, of the radical hospitality of Jesus. We share communion because in communion we understand that we encounter Christ. And so we will be sharing communion today. But the communion table on Sunday is not the only radical table in the world. Where are they? They're yours to create. So create them, curate them, recognize them, meet people where they're at, which isn't a church building, and share in a feast together at the radical table. And may you find Jesus there, sharing in the meal with you. And the blessed will become a blessing, and everywhere will be the feast.